is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
I do my best, but my best wasn't good enough.
BoxingVoice.com.
What broke him down? Was it just the body punches? I was hitting him with body punches and I heard him, actually he was crying in there. You're saying that Biggs was crying when you hit him? When did that happen? And perhaps the fourth round on?
BoxingVoice.com.
So you knew you had him by that time? Absolutely, but I knew he was touching and taking those punches.
Nazi Productions.
Making women gestures like,
Let's go, champ.
Good morning, TBV. Welcome back. Monday morning. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're on your way to work. Hope you're having a glorious morning. We're here to talk some boxing for you on your way to work. Your commute to work, we're going to keep you satisfied when it comes to boxing. We're going to talk a little Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. Will he cause problems for Keith Thurman? Or is Keith Thurman nothing more than a tune-up for Pacquiao? We'll be discussing this particular Forbes article with the author, Peter Kahn, that happens to double as a very successful boxing manager. We'll let him tell you, everyone, that he is managing, but you will be shocked to know who he deals with, who he manages, and yet the man keeps himself occupied with writing boxing and even talking boxing on his own podcast. So at 9:10, we'll definitely introduce you to Peter Kahn. I want to say you pronounce his last name Kahn, but we'll find out from the man himself. But we're going to be talking Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. Does Manny Pacquiao cause Thurman problems in July, or is it the other way around? Now remember, this title is based off the Forbes article, which we will have the author at 9:10. Then at 9:30, we'll have Buddy McGirt, the trainer of Sergey Lipinets, the trainer of Sergey Kovalev. Who knows? Maybe he could be the trainer of another Eastern European. We will ask for sure. Let's head on out to my co-host and get this thing started.
Nazi Productions.
I speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it.
BoxingVoice.com.
So when I stop him, y'all gonna say he was too weak. Oh my man, he stayed out my first second when I stopped.
A man stand up for what he believes in, and when you stand up for what you believe in, you accept whatever consequences come behind it. BoxingVoice.com.
Yo, what's up, everybody out there in the TBV universe? It's your boy Mike. I'm back with another one along with Nestor Gibbs. Yeah, author had an intriguing little article thinking that Manny Pacquiao will cause Keith Thurman problems, and I think he could be right. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Manny Pacquiao could be that guy that possibly beats Keith Thurman, but who knows? We'll break it down. We'll talk about it. And Buddy McGirt at 9:30. And what's his name? Peter Kahn?
Yes, sir.
You better not duck me, son. You better not duck me, son.
Peter Kahn at 9:10. What's going on, this man? How was your night last night?
All good,
Motherfucking game.
Untitled 7 p.m. Eastern today on Patreon, where we'll talk Game of Thrones, let you know everything that went down, give you our review on our exclusive content, only heard on patreon.com/The Boxing Voice. So you can check us out on Patreon tonight for a complete recap of Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame and all other trending topics, and just sitting back talking boxing with the guys and adding a little bit of everything. But today, obviously, Manny Pacquiao. Why do you think the author, Peter Kahn, who we'll have on in a bit, is saying that Pacquiao will trouble Thurman? It almost sounds as if he's picking Thurman.
I mean, looking at Pacquiao's style, I mean, you can see the kind of success that Lopez had with Thurman. And maybe he's just thinking that Pacquiao's a way better fighter, way better, just way better all around threat to Thurman. I like Pacquiao's speed. You know what I'm saying? He pops in and out real nice. Like he does have a little bit of power left. Um, I just wonder how Thurman will approach this fight. Will he approach it like the Danny Garcia fight and box, or will he approach it like the Sean Porter fight, and will it be like a brawl? But I believe Sean Porter made it more of a brawl.
Well, let's get into, obviously, the author of the article on Forbes magazine. He's also a very, like I said, prominent boxing manager, has a stable of fighters. We'll let him talk about that, but like I said, I'm sure you're going to be surprised to hear who he's managing. His most recent fighter is actually someone that I'm very interested in, and I guess that will make a good subcategory to see how he acquired the services of, or rather how Neno Rodriguez acquired his services, being as though he was tied up in that Mayweather contract. But without further ado, Peter, how are you? And just let us know if we're pronouncing that last name right. Is it Kahn or is it something else? Uh-oh, he dropped off. He was just connected on Skype there. Give me 1 sec.
No problem. I'll go to the article and get like a quote from him. But yeah, man, the reason people think Thurman, I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, his last fight with Lopez wasn't overly impressive, even though he got the win and he stayed upright. Lopez had some success.
I mean, he did. And hopefully that's the reason that, Pacquiao is kind of choosing him, right? Maybe he's choosing him for that reason. But get some audio.
Manny will mark me. Manny's 2 feet tall, boy. What you talking about? Manny will mark me. I got offense. The only reason why he said, I'm ready to fight. I'm 40 years old. I can fight. You can fight because nobody hit you in your face, boy. Okay? You remember? Let me hit you in your face. Remember when your mama was crying? When you got slept? When you went night-night? When you went night-night? Okay? See, you forgot about the day you went night-night. You feel me? AB couldn't remind you about that. He didn't put hands on you. Man, I'll put hands on you. You're going to be like, I'm ready to be senator of the Philippines. Okay? I'm ready. I'm really ready right now. I can retire from boxing. Thurman hit too hard. Great.
I want to see if any of that's going to be true, but it looks like we got Peter on the line. Peter, I don't want to keep botching your last name, brother. So is it Kahn? How do we pronounce it? And welcome to the program.
It's Kahn. And can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, we hear you perfectly. I wish all our guests were as, podcast educated as yourself. Speaking of podcasts, I want to give your podcast a shout out, The Fight Guys. He's sponsored by SB Nation. So shout out to Peter. And, it looks like we lost him again. Peter, you there? All right. Well, we'll be back with him. He's having some connection issues. But Mike, night, Mike. What do you think about Thurman saying that Broner could not remind Pacquiao when he went night? And, Thurman will. Now, I've never been knocked out, but I got to assume it plays in the back of your mind every time you step in that ring. Is the same thing going to happen? Are you going to get Juan Manuel Marquez again? Or do you think at this point for Manny Pacquiao, that's not even in his mind? He's too much of a professional. He got slept a couple of times. It really doesn't matter. He just gets on the horse. Or do you think it does play in the back of a mind of a fighter, the back of the psyche, or ruin their psyche?
Man, look, I think Manny is not really worried about getting knocked out. I mean, Manny's a fighter, man. Most fighters don't worry about getting knocked out. And I don't know if Thurman has that one-time power anymore. Does he? Does he still have that? I mean, after the levels go up, those knockouts start to dissipate. He didn't even knock out Lopez, and I think Manny is on another level than Lopez. Let's get to a little excerpt from the.
Well, I mean, let me just say something about Manny. Thurman not getting those knockouts that you're talking about. The difference is, you said it. they dissipated because of the level of competition, but isn't Manny exactly what the doctor ordered for Keith? He isn't a natural welterweight. Keith is one of those welterweights that's only been really fighting welterweights, unlike others out there that, they fight guys moving up and things like that. But Keith has been fighting natural welterweights, so would that make a difference?
Nah, man, Manny's been fighting natural welterweights too, bro. Manny's been, how long has Manny been at welterweight for a while now, right?
No. What I'm saying is Keith is fighting the non-natural welterweight, so maybe his knockouts come back. He's used to fighting natural welterweights or bigger. Now he's fighting someone smaller.
I hear that, but I'm just of the mindset Manny Pacquiao has been in a division for a minute now, so he's not really worried about the power aspect, or if he is, he knows how to prepare for it. Maybe Keith can get a knockout, but I haven't been seeing that one-time power, so I'm just gonna reserve my thoughts on a knockout. Because Manny's a good boxer. He knows how to move around the ring, and he knows how to break down opponents. I really want to see how Keith deals with the speed of Manny Pacquiao, getting in and out and changing angles and stuff. I want to see if Manny, being a smaller guy, plays a lot into this fight, because the speed aspect could be a good thing if Keith Thurman timing is not there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the speed is the aspect that really ruins the fight for everybody. But I think we got Peter now. Peter, I want to say that was my fault. We had a crash on Skype, but I want to obviously thank you for coming on the show. It's early in the morning, but luckily for you, this guy's in Miami, so he's really soaking up the rays. But Peter, man, just give somebody, our listeners a little bit of your background. I was really happy to see some of the guys that you manage. Obviously, Camboso Jr., we know well. Mickey Caparelli, our Australian correspondent, has done a lot of work with him. And like you've said in your article, he's got over 300 rounds boxed with Manny Pacquiao. So you and your fighter do have a lot of insight as to what sort of performance Manny can put on at 40 years old. But please give us your introduction of yourself, what you've been doing throughout all these many years in boxing, and talk to us a little bit about your article.
Well, I appreciate you for having me on. The last time we tried to connect, I remember I was actually on a flight, and I think it was the Broner story that I wrote that got a lot of traction.
Correct.
And I was hoping to get on, so I'm happy, and I appreciate you having me on here. So here's the 15-second version. For about 25 years, I started working in 1994 for Don King. Spent a decade with Don in boxing operations, and I've gone on to manage probably over a dozen world champions, maybe 15 world champions along the way. And currently, I have a good stable of prospects and contenders: George Kambosos Jr., Saul Rodriguez, Andy Vences, Chris Van Heerden, Emmanuel Tago. I just signed the youngest fighter ever to Top Rank, Xander Zayas, who's 16 years old. And I'm probably leaving out something right now, but anyway, that's I just came back from Mexico with Dennis Hogan, who had a world title fight with Jaime Munguia, which we protested with the WBO. So there's a lot going on, and I'm on a plane tomorrow to Vegas for Canelo Jacobs fight week.
Well, we'll see you there. We land Wednesday. You also acquired the services of Amir Iman, who's actually right now in litigations. So that's also an interesting story, because how'd you get him while suing, Don King?
So the long and the short of it is this, is that Amir hasn't fought in over a year. And Amir was already preparing to sue Don King for breach of contract and for some other things that are in the complaint. And he had approached me and asked me if I would help him with his career moving forward. And that's with whatever happens with Don, whether he ends up staying with Don or if there's an opportunity for him to go somewhere else, I will be helping him move forward, because Amir Imam is a world champion. He just needs to get back on track, and he has all the tools to be a champion.
Hey, how's it going, Peter? My name is Michael Gross. I just want to know how you started in the sport of boxing. Like, what made you decide to go down this path?
So I fought as an amateur. I fought at 140 pounds as an amateur. That was many, many pounds ago, probably like 60 pounds ago. But I grew up loving the sport, and I went to Syracuse University, played Division I soccer there, and fought. Still continued to fight as an amateur. And after school, I wanted to work in boxing, and so a lot of people know the story. If you're familiar with Brad Jacobs, who's the COO at Top Rank, Brad was the head of USA Tuesday Night Fights. If you guys remember that, that was every Tuesday night. You had some of the best fighters in the world came through Tuesday Night Fights, and I cold called Brad and said, hey, my name's Peter Kahn. I want to work in boxing. And he could have just said, okay, kid, take care, and hung up, but he didn't, and he spent a lot of time on the phone with me. He then introduced me to, at the time, Hector Camacho's camp, and then just one thing kept leading to another, and then I ended up. Next thing I know, I turn around and I'm at Tyson McNeely working for Don King, and that was my first big show back in 1995. So that's really the short version. From there, some fighters that I managed early on, Robert Garcia, the trainer Robert Garcia. I was one of Robert's managers when he was a fighter. Daniel Santos, O'Neal Bell, Randall Bailey. I worked with Michael Moore towards the end of his career, but there's just, so many guys I could go down a list, but I've enjoyed it. I love it. I love the sport, probably just the same as you guys, and I also like writing about it. And I'm blessed to be able to write for Forbes as well, and I enjoy doing that. And I'm happy when some of the things that I write get on people's radar and they want to talk about it, because like in this instance, I'm a big fan of Keith Thurman. Love Keith Thurman. And, some people, they think that it's like a knock on Thurman. It's really not. It's really more so when you really sit back and think about these things from an insider's point of view, you kind of look at it from a different perspective.
Now, one of the points you made in the article was it's going to be hard for Keith to find sparring that can mimic Pacquiao because of the height and the short arms, that there's not many people out there his height and with his arms so short. What are, I guess, some of the people you think would fit the bill as perfect sparring partners for Keith?
So it's interesting you should ask, because that's going to be a follow-up piece of mine. And I actually made a list that starts with about 3 people. So let me just kind of, find out. Right off the bat, like the dream, right? I think the dream, if he could get somebody like Gervonta Davis to work with him, I think that's like the closest that he's ever going to get to being able to find someone that fits the physical build. And you got to remember, when you're fighting Manny Pacquiao, you're fighting a guy that's 5'6". What does he have? 67-inch reach, and he's a southpaw, and he's faster than anyone that Thurman's ever fought. And it's not just speed; it's quickness, and it's his ability to throw punches from all angles. One of the things that George Kambosos would always tell me, like I said, and like you had mentioned, he is sparred 300 rounds with Manny over Manny's last 3 camps. So George has been in camp for at least 8 weeks to 10 weeks at a time for the last 3 fights. Jeff Horn, Lucas Matisse, and Adrian Broner. And he said the hardest thing about Manny is that he throws punches. They hit you from places that you don't expect them to hit you. Just angles and places where they get you that it's just not orthodox in that sense. Does that make sense to you?
Definitely. I think that's been something that most people said about Manny for a long time. You just can't see the punches coming. They come from different angles and that speed. Now, if someone doesn't click the article and actually read, which we're seeing a lot of that go around nowadays,
right?
Based off the title, they could believe that you are picking Thurman. Are you?
Listen, right now, I'm not picking anyone. Like, I need to sit back. I need to marinate on it. I need to get a vibe for who they have in camp with them. I want to look at all the pieces. I want to see who Keith brings into camp. I want to see how he prepares. It's easy to judge people on their most recent fight. And when it comes to Thurman, people forget Thurman was the welterweight in the welterweight division until he took time off. And after that Danny Garcia fight, when he kind of stepped back and then took his time off, he was the most dominant welterweight, in my opinion, at the time. And, Errol Spence was just getting ready to fight Kell Brook, I believe. Well, that might have been like May. So that was March for Garcia. I think that's the same year, right? It was Thurman fought Garcia. He then stepped back, and then a couple months later is when Errol Spence Jr. fought Kell Brook. But what I'm saying is this. Keith Thurman has been off for so long. There was going to be some amount of ring rust when he fought Lopez. So it's hard to really gauge how much that time off has hurt him. Fighters need to fight their way back into shape. And part of what I'm thinking is that I feel he might be biting off more than he can chew in taking Pacquiao in this second fight back after so much time off, because we'd be fooling ourselves if we said that he looked like vintage Keith Thurman in the Lopez fight. All Lopez had to do was apply a little pressure, and he was having success with Thurman and had him in trouble. If that was a different fighter, it could have been a big upset for Thurman that night. So I just wrote another story a couple of days ago talking about I don't even remember my headline, but it was basically talking about why Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford will happen in 2020. And that was because Al Heyman is playing a masterful long game. And I hope you don't mind me switching gears here for a second, but I'm just kind of trying to get into the landscape.
That's perfect.
So you have Al, who, you have Bob. There's a reason why Bob Arum jumped in the ring and went on air and basically called out Al after the Crawford-Kahn fight. And look, to the normal person, wouldn't you think that a 50-50 deal sounds like, wow, Bob's being fair, right? I mean, that sounds like, hey, look, Bob's trying to make a deal. But listen, the truth of the matter is this. Al Heyman controls the what, the when, the where, and the how in that welterweight division. And, of course, right now, 50-50 sounds like a good deal, and it's a good deal for Top Rank. But once Thurman fights Pacquiao, once Spence Jr. fights Porter, and the winner of those fights fight each other, then Al has a champion with 3 belts. And those 3 belts, to the Terrence Crawford 1 belt, you can argue that it should be 75-25 in PBC's favor.
Let me ask you a question. We hear all that, but we all know the super fight at the welterweight division, people think it's Crawford and Spence. Now, not saying that that's going to happen down the road. I'm saying people think that those 2 guys are the best in the division.
That's so only because Pacquiao hasn't fought Keith.
Let me ask my question. So what's the difference with Crawford having 1 belt and Wilder having 1 belt and wanting 50-50 with the AJ fight?
Look, I'm a big fan of Deontay Wilder as well. But the truth of the matter is, if that fight takes place in the UK, Anthony Joshua is the draw. And if that fight takes place in the US, I think that right now, I think you got to look at it in a way where if we're just trying to keep things on an even playing field, and we're trying to look at all these things considered, I think that you got to look at the popularity and the depth of the division. The heavyweight division is not stacked like the welterweight division. So the person that ends up with those 3 belts in that welterweight division is going to have to walk through fire to get there. Just think about it. Thurman and Pacquiao, Spence and Porter, and then the winner of those 2 fights fighting each other. I mean, there's no easy path. I really think that AJ, and in large part AJ and Deontay have, they're head and shoulders above the rest. However, I had Tyson Fury beating Wilder, so when I live blogged it. So I don't know. I mean, it's a good question because of we're trying to make the argument, right? Look, people can make the argument all they want. It just comes down to who has the leverage. And here's the leverage, and here's the difference. This is the best way I could put it. There is no one else for Terrence Crawford to fight. There is no one. There's no one in Top Rank stable that he can fight. There's no one that ESPN is going to be happy with him fighting. They've got to fight one of the other champions, and that gives PBC the leverage.
But are you coming up with that pre or post the Kahn fight? Because as a hardcore fan, I thought that they should have not accepted that Kahn fight, especially not on pay-per-view, and they did. So, if their standards are that low, they might not mind another Kahn level opponent on pay-per-view.
I think that there was a lot of hope in that fight, I think there was a lot of hope that Kahn would be a lot more competitive, or that Terrence Crawford wouldn't be that much more dominant. But we have to look at the landscape now. Look, I managed Chris Van Heerden. He's a welterweight. He's with Top Rank. I would love for him to fight Terrence Crawford, but he's not there yet. It's going to take a couple more fights.
Wait a minute. I got to call you because I did a lot of research for today, and I read an article where someone interviewed you, and you called Van Heerden the most feared welterweight, the only guy to step up to fight Errol Spence. And it's like, well, if he's the most feared, Terrence needs a fight.
Listen, back when I said that, this is what I meant. People don't want to fight him because he's a difficult guy to fight. Meaning he's a tall southpaw, he can box his ears off, and he's great at managing distance. He's an excellent boxer. Chris is a tough guy. If you watch the Spence fight, Errol, you could say Errol beat him up, but Chris stood in there and he didn't fold like a lot of these other guys fold. I mean, Chris fought. Chris has also improved. I mean, the only real loss on his record is Errol Spence Jr. I just think that you got to look at it from a marketing standpoint and from a promotable standpoint. Top Rank needs to make big fights. So they've been grooming Kavaliskis and Vesputin, and then Kavaliskis has the draw with Ray Robinson. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that kind of ruined a little bit. That kind of put him back a step. And then you got to look at, it's not just who's in that top 15, it's who Top Rank controls that really matters. So, that's really the whole thing. And I think that Chris had an 11th month layoff. He just fought in March on the Costa Mesa show. He won. He's going to fight again in July. And then after that, I would absolutely try to campaign for a Crawford fight. But what the fans want, and I do agree with this, this is the part of boxing where it's hard to understand from the business perspective and the fan perspective, because the fans just want to see the best fights and the promoters want to make money. So unfortunately, when guys can't work together, it makes it difficult. Or in this case, what I was trying to express is that I just think that Al will work with Bob, and I heard they spoke last week. So, this doesn't mean they're not going to work together. I think just Al's just going to keep more of the leverage in his corner.
I got Peter, before Mike does that, I do want to say that we need you to give your social media. We are scheduled for another interview, but because of the cutting out, I was hoping you could stick around. We're going to have Buddy McGirt. He's actually live now, and we can get back to you or reschedule for a later time to continue the interview. Unfortunately, it ran over due to the technical difficulties with Skype. But you're more than welcome to join in with good old Buddy, the world-renowned trainer.
But Buddy's my guy. We spoke last week. Buddy's a good friend of mine, so I'm happy to sit in here.
Perfect. Well, Buddy, I want to introduce you to our audience. Obviously, this is Buddy McGirt, the world-renowned trainer. Everyone should know him. If you don't, you've seen his work with Sergey Lipinets and most recently with Sergey Kovalev. And obviously, I think the big question on everyone's mind is, are you getting another Eastern European guy that's looking for a new trainer? But how are you, and good morning, Buddy McGirt.
Good morning. Everything's good. I can't complain.
So what do you think about me suggesting maybe you, Gennady Golovkin, is that pairing? Haven't you got any phone calls since, you're working with Sergey, you're working with Lipinets?
No, I'm not working with Lipinets anymore. I'm not, it's funny. When I got the job to train Kovalov, Lipinets' manager took him someplace else.
What about Gennady? You gotten that call yet?
Not yet, no.
Would you entertain a Gennady Golovkin?
Without a doubt.
What do you think you can add to that game, watching his career unfold over these many years? What do you think Buddy McGirt can bring to Gennady Golovkin at this stage in his career?
I think, to be honest with you, in order for me to answer that question, I really need to spend like a day or two with him. And see exactly what he does, what he doesn't do, and then I could go from there.
How's it going, Mr. McGirt? My name is Michael Gross. I want to get your reaction to Gennady leaving Abel Sanchez, and what Abel had to say coming out in the media, saying that it was possibly due to money.
Well, my thing is, you hear rumors, but you don't believe them. So all I can say is that, it's an unfortunate thing because they've been together for so long. So for me to really put any emphasis on it, I don't get involved in that.
So, buddy, man, tell us, what was the thought process in taking on a guy like Sergey Kovalev?
Well, I heard stories again, before I, work with him. Everyone's telling me this, telling me that, he's this, he's that. I'm like, okay, well, let me find out for myself. And when I got with him, it was nothing like people said.
All right. Peter, you want to jump in?
Absolutely. Buddy, hey, it's Peter Kahn. How are you, bud?
Hey, what's up, Pete?
How's it going? Buddy and I just talked a few days. Buddy and I just talked a few days about this, by the way, just so you guys know about Golovkin. So that's why he might be laughing there. And I wrote a story on Kovalev and Buddy. And I'll say this, right? Because Buddy's a very humble guy. And, obviously, besides being a great trainer, Buddy was a great world champion. And he's just a very cerebral trainer as well. He sees things in fighters that a lot of people don't see. He knows when to put his foot on the gas pedal. He knows when to take it off the gas pedal. And what he did with Kovalev, which Buddy talked about in every single interview and in every conversation was, look, he said, I didn't press any magic buttons. I just brought it back to the basics. And he said Kovalev was a guy that would really, in essence, overtrain. And Buddy would just kind of send him home. Kovalev always wanted to do more, and Buddy would send him home. And if you listen to the corner during that rematch, the Alvarez rematch, he was basically just kept emphasizing just the basics. I mean, if you look at Kovalev, he just looked like a better, technically more relaxed, sound fighter. So that's just my take on the Kovalev thing. As far as Triple G goes, I mean, Buddy would absolutely be an asset. I think that sometimes what happens is, after a decade together, a relationship could get stale. Abel and Gennady, they parted over money, but sometimes. And Buddy's been a master at doing this. Buddy's been able to breathe new life into fighters that needed a change. Look at Arturo Gatti. Look at Antonio Tarver. I mean, look at the success that they were able to have once they brought Buddy on board. Buddy, I should be your agent.
Totally.
No, thank you.
Now, Sergey Kovalev has a mandatory defense coming up against Anthony Yarde. I want to know what kind of challenges that you think Anthony Yarde poses to Sergey Kovalev.
And I'm going to be 150% honest with you. I've never seen him fight. Am I going to sit and study him? No. I'm going to let him worry about what we're going to do.
Well,
at this stage of the game,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I know you're gonna ask me if I don't watch video, what am I gonna prepare for?
No. Actually, I wasn't. Actually, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say it's funny that you say that because they're making it out to seem as if they're the best fighter that Kovalev would have faced. They're claiming they're better than Andre Ward, and I wanted to know: have you seen all of this? All these interviews that Tunde Ajayi and Anthony Yarde. I'm only putting Anthony Yarde's name because of his trainer. I'm not going to really say he's come out and said he's better than Ward, but his trainers definitely said those words and definitely has said that, Kovalev will be getting in with the best fighter of his career when he steps in with Anthony Yarde, and that Anthony Yarde is the A side. And, that this fight would have took place in the UK. It's only happening in Russia because of his mind games and how he strategically mapped all this out. Have you seen any of these headlines and videos from this guy?
No, I haven't, to be honest with you.
All right, gentlemen, let me just jump in here. So Anthony Yarde, he's been a highly touted, he was a prospect. He's now a legit contender. They got him to the mandatory. But I want you guys to be honest with me here, okay? Who on his record?
No one.
Okay. So so first of all, who can you pronounce on his record?
I'm going to pass the ball to my co-host who loves him. Go for it.
Yeah, man. I do. I'm a big fan of Anthony Yarde. I know what everybody thinks. He hasn't been there with the talent or the level of Kovalev, but I'm of the mindset that sometimes you don't know how good you are until you get in the ring with a world champion like Kovalev. And if Kovalev beats him, then that's fine. But I think Anthony Yarde has the skill set and the boxing ability to give Kovalev some problems.
And maybe he does, but here's the thing. He hasn't fought anyone yet for us to be able to use as some sort of benchmark to say, okay, and that's what I was talking about, right? We have gatekeepers in boxing. We have guys that are uncomfortable to fight. He hasn't fought any of them where you can say, okay, he hasn't done what they're doing with Teofimo Lopez, where they're stepping him up little by little. They're putting him against guys, okay, he got past this, he got past that. Now we're going to put him in with this. They haven't done that with Yarde. And the other thing I've learned from Evander Holyfield, who I speak to often, who tells me, when people talk like that, they're scared. And there's no need for this guy to be talking about that. He needs to just go in there, do his work, and win the title if that's what he thinks he can do. But all this talk, I could tell you, means nothing to a guy like Buddy McGirt and means nothing to a guy like Kovalev.
Buddy?
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, because I'm not saying the guy can't fight. I'm not saying he could fight. But it all comes down when that bell rings. It's a whole different ballgame. Your trainer can't fight for you. Your publicist can't fight for you. Your fans can't fight for you. Everybody takes 3 steps down. You take 3 steps in. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit and worry about what he's saying. I mean, like I say, I'm not knocking the guy because I don't know him. I mean, but I just know that we'll be ready, and whatever they bring to the table, we'll have an answer for it.
Now, the word is this fight's happening in Russia. No concerns for you since your guy's from there, or are there any concerns for you? Have you gone to Russia before? Have you trained in Russia? And because it's going to happen in Russia, will you hold half the camp here and half over there, or is it all going to be over there?
Well, this is how I see it. Right now, nothing is definite. I mean, no one has said, okay, buddy, it's stamped, it's etched in stone, So right now, I'm waiting to see what happens. I mean, I'm waiting to see because, we're still in April, so I mean, hopefully I know something this week, but as of right now, no one said to me the fight is definite.
I want to get your reaction to something that Oscar De La Hoya said about a month and a half ago. He said that he wouldn't mind matching up Canelo with Kovalev because he thinks that Canelo is one of those guys that's going to be a generational talent and can move up in weight classes. What do you think about a potential matchup with Canelo and Kovalev?
I love that fight, by the way.
That would be great because Canelo is that guy. I mean, Oscar's not lying. Canelo is that guy. I give it to him. Excuse me. So I think it will be a very, very interesting fight. But right now, both of Canelo and Kovalev have some pretty hard tasks in front of them to get rid of first. I mean, Canelo's not going to walk right through Danny Jacobs. I mean, and we got to take care of, we got to handle our business. I mean, if the fight comes off at the end of June, so right now, but if he did move up, I think it'd be great for boxing.
Damn, buddy, it sounds like you picking Canelo. You say he not going to walk right through Jacobs.
Yeah, but look, but that's because that's what people think. So, like, what Buddy's saying is he's got to fight. Like I wrote about yesterday. I wrote 4 reasons why I think Daniel Jacobs. I wrote Daniel Jacobs can beat Canelo Alvarez, and this is how. So, I mean, people think that Canelo's going to walk right through Danny Jacobs. That's not going to happen. So, I think that's just kind of because that's like the public's perception in a way. But Buddy, who are you picking in that fight?
I'm picking Canelo, but he's got to be on point. I will say that Danny Jacobs, Andre Rozier has done a great job with him since his loss a few years ago in Vegas. I mean, he's pretty much turned him around, and he's a totally different fighter now, confident, and he can fight. I mean, but so Canelo got to be on all this. I picked Canelo, He's got to be on he's got to be on point. He can't slip up.
Buddy, as a trainer, what's the biggest asset you see Danny Jacobs bringing into the ring against Canelo?
His biggest asset, my
Yes, sir.
personal opinion, is his corner. His corner. He's got a great corner, man. And sometimes in certain fights, sometimes the corner win the fights. I know the fighter goes out there and executes. Sometimes the corner's the one that tells you what adjustments you got to make. I mean, during the fight. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Is that sometimes during the fight you got to make adjustments. You can't call timeout. And I mean, and go to the sideline like basketball players and come up with a new strategy. No, you got to make that adjustment right there. You know, you got that minute in between. Okay, kid, we got to do this now. I mean, so Andre Rozier is a hell of a trainer. Canelo's trainer, a hell of a trainer. I think this is a fight that is going to come down to the corners. Personally,
Kahn, you got anything?
Canelo has a great trainer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, to Buddy's point, I think that, what I wrote yesterday was very similar to what Buddy is saying. Both guys are going to have to be on point. Daniel Jacobs is going to have to fight a perfect fight. He's going to have to potentially fight, 36 minutes perfect. He's going to have to control that distance. He's going to have to be the guy that's using his footwork. He's going to have to, use that jab. He's going to have to go low. He's going to, have to go jab, body, head, repeat. He's just going to have to find a way to sit down on those punches. He's going to try to stay away from those counter punches from Canelo. I mean, he's the one that's going to have to be, for 36 minutes, singularly focused on winning that fight. And conditioning. I really believe that the person that's best conditioned in this fight is the one that's going to maybe pull some, win, kind of steal some rounds towards the later part of the fight. But like Buddy said, it's going to be who can make adjustments, who can adapt, and that comes from the corner. Who's going to be able to keep their guy to the game plan, and who's going to be able to adapt if things don't go as they plan.
Mr. McGirt, out of all the other champions at 175, we got Better Beef, we got Gobchek, we got Bevo. Who do you think will be the biggest challenge?
You're butchering those names, by the way, but that's okay.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not that good at
Better Beef, Vodzik. I'm just saying, but I'm just going to help you here. It's okay.
Help me out a little bit. Better Beef?
Better Beef.
Better Beef.
I've never seen none of them fight.
Okay.
What? Hey, buddy,
the only
man.
one I've seen fight that
What you doing all night, man? You don't watch no tape? What's going on?
Hey, man, you know what it is, man? Boxing's not like it used to be. There was a time I sit in front of the TV every weekend and be ready to watch the fights. Today, when you get in front of the TV, you pretty much know who's going to win before the bell rings.
Yes.
That's true. That's damn the truth.
Yes.
So I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I'm gonna tell you guys a story that Buddy shared with me last month when we were together. Just because it kind of contradicts Buddy's statement, but I want to make him laugh a little bit. So remember when Amir Imam fought Adrian Granados?
Yes.
Yeah.
So because Buddy had the best line ever. So Stacey McKinley shows up to the weigh-in, I guess, and says to Buddy, hey, Buddy, who you here with? And Buddy looks at him like he's crazy because he's like, I'm here with Granados, the guy that you're fighting. Who are you here with? And Stacey says, we're just here for a tune-up. And Buddy looks at Stacey and says, well, yeah, your guy might get tuned up. So there's a perfect example of McKinley not preparing for true or false.
Yeah, and Stacey's cocky like that.
Right? So that's like the whole thing. So you better be careful. Your guy might get tuned up, buddy.
I'm telling you, Stacey's cocky like that.
Gotta be on point.
He sold me some dreams about Greg Corbin when I was down there, boy. But listen, buddy, anybody else you are working with that you can talk to us about, and anyone that we should be looking out for?
I have two kids. I have a kid from Kazakhstan named Johnny Beck. Don't ask me to pronounce his last name because I can't.
Whoa, you broke up very badly there.
Okay, I have a kid, a middleweight. His name is Johnny Beck. He's from Kazakhstan. And don't ask me to pronounce his last name because I would definitely mess it up.
Let's see if Kahn has it.
I don't even know who it is, so I can't help you there.
Uh-oh.
See? And I got a young kid named Adam Lopez.
Wait,
he's fighting on
Adam from Texas?
No, Adam Lopez from California.
Okay.
His father was Hector Lopez, who was a hell of a fighter back in the 80s and 90s. His father was silver medalist, but this kid Adam Lopez is the real deal. I mean, he's 126 pounds. He has one loss, which he got jerked in. I told him don't take the fight. Well, not him. I told his manager don't take the fight. We're not going to get the decision. But that's a story within itself. Anyway, this kid here, he's the real McCoy. He can fight. Now, 126, I'm telling you, he's unbelievable. I mean, James Toney watched him box the other day. James Toney watched him sport the other day and couldn't believe it.
You said 126?
Yeah.
Man, that's some fights down there for him. Then.
Yes.
Hey, so you know I'm gonna send Saul Rodriguez to you for some sparring. How's that, buddy?
Uh-oh.
I don't know who Saul Rodriguez is, but...
No, you don't watch anybody. It's okay.
Oh, my
But
God.
don't worry,
You know what I love about Kahn? Kahn is like, he's like the guy in the movie with all the perfect product placements. He's been able to put each of the fighters he's working in strategically throughout the conversation. I love this guy.
And listen, I love you guys too. And I was going to say, speaking of going places and not getting decisions, buddy, like you just mentioned, did anybody here watch Munguia Hogan?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want the honest opinion.
What
not
I tell
just
you,
because I'm here. Honest opinion.
I mean...
Who fought?
Jaime Munguia versus Dennis Hogan in Mexico. Jaime being Mexican. But they had an Australian judge.
Man.
No. All three USA judges.
Peter, you don't understand how mad I was. I had Dennis Hogan in a parlay that would have won me like $800, and they robbed him, bro.
Oh my God, that's another thing. Peter is also a betting kind of expert. We got to talk. I was going to talk to him off air about that too.
But just with the Munguia and Hogan, we lost our protest this week to the WBO. So we were trying to get a
it was the Australian judge was on the rewatch, right?
It was no Australian judge. It was three American judges.
WBO sent out a press release, and I believe they had an Australian judge watching.
Oh, they had an Australian judge, a Mexican judge. They had a make-believe judge. Who knows? I mean, honestly, the five. Yeah, anytime you tell me they're anonymous, But listen, in the rescore, and this is what I want to ask you guys, right? And of course, I'm biased because I'm an advisor to Dennis Hogan, and I was there and I was in the corner that night, and I believe he won the fight. Okay, and I believe that he should be the WBO world champion right now, but he didn't get the decision. We protested for a number of reasons, and in the rescore, they scored it. 3 judges scored it a draw. 1 scored it for Hogan. 1 scored it for Munguia. Wouldn't that be enough to order a rematch?
Immediate.
I mean, especially, buddy. What do you think? I mean,
they should have fought again the same. Scores like that, you fight again the same night. You say, okay, let's start over.
Listen, we were getting ready to fight outside, so that's okay. But we were in Mexico. It wasn't good for us.
Nah, you ain't want to do that.
Nah, you'll still be there if you would have.
He said you'll still be there.
So, buddy, look, your connection sounds a little better. Give me that name. Try to say that name one more time of the fighter.
Okay, it's Johnny Beck.
Okay.
Johnny Beck.
Uh-huh. I got Adam Lopez. I already looked him up.
Okay. Johnny Beck. I cannot pronounce the last name. I can't even pronounce it. I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
All right.
I mean, he's a middleweight. Yeah.
And who's he signed to?
If you want to know how to spell his name, he fought on the Lomachenko card just recently.
All right. So
okay. I may know who you're talking about. One last question for Mr. McGirt. What's the most surprising thing you learned or found out when you started to train Kovalev?
That he wasn't as stubborn as people said. When people tell me he's not going to listen to you, you're wasting your time. You know what I mean? He's going to do what he wants to do. But he told me that people let him do what he wants to do. So, you know what I mean? So, I just said, look, man, if you want to get this done, we got to do this. Just that plain and simple.
And gentlemen, it's Johnny Beck, Alim I can't even say it. Alim Kahunali. I don't know. You know what? Just stick with Johnny Beck.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You might want to not stick with Johnny Beck because Johnny Beck comes up as a box rec who's 0-1.
No. It's Janibek, and the last name is Alim Kahunali. I don't know. I can't say it, but it's okay. Janibek. He's 5-0. He's a middleweight.
He can fight. He's the real deal. He's southpaw. He's the real deal.
So before we let you go, we were having a conversation with Mr. Kahn about the welterweight division, and obviously I always like to piss my co-host off early in the morning. He's a Crawford fan, and I'm just anyone not named Crawford. So how do you see that welterweight division? What's your thoughts on it? Just talk to us. There's potential matchups.
Crawford.
Obviously, we're talking Pacquiao Thurman possibly happening July 20th. Then you got Earl Spence and Sean Porter should be unifying later this year. That's said to be basically official. And then you just got, Crawford just finished fighting Kahn.
You got Danny Garcia coming off a big knockout over
Adrian Granados. Someone
yes.
he knows.
I'm going with Crawford. To me, Crawford's the best 147-pounder out there.
So, buddy, our debate here, like mine's with my co-hosts and then some of the callers with my co-hosts,
talent.
It's like, how are you guys assessing him to be the best when he hasn't faced anyone to make him the best?
Good point. But when you look at these guys fight, it's a whole different ballgame. The rest of the guys, listen, I'm not knocking nobody, but the rest of the guys, besides, they don't do nothing special when you think about it. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman's a big welterweight. Keep guys on the out. That's it. Danny Garcia can punch. That's it.
I mean, so you don't think Garcia showed levels versus Granados? He kind of changed up, didn't he?
He was too big. He was too big for Granados. Granados is a 40-pounder. He's not a 47-pounder.
Agreed.
What I've been
He was
saying.
just too big, too strong.
But gentlemen, let me say this.
He just walked right.
Yeah. But, I mean, let's look at Errol Spence Jr. Great fighter. We all agree Errol Spence Jr. is a great fighter, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Definitely.
So let's go break down his last three opponents. He fought 135-pound Mikey Garcia. Let's just be real about that.
Yep.
He did what he was supposed to do, but he's fighting a guy who's 135-pounder.
Yeah,
okay?
but let me just rebut that one point so that we don't get lost in all your lengthy conversation, right? That one guy still is better than everyone on Crawford's resume. That one guy beats everyone that you think is good on Crawford's resume.
Yeah, but I'm not making an argument against the argument that Crawford still hasn't fought the level of opposition.
But that's my point. How is this guy?
No. But what I'm saying is, I'm not making that argument.
Great if one of Earl Spence's victims can destroy his whole resume. How is this guy great?
What I'm saying
Okay,
is,
the next question now.
I can say that we can say the same for both people. I'm saying that I think now.
I don't think so. I don't think you can find a guy on Terrence Crawford's resume that can beat whoever you think is the best guy on Earl Spence's resume. It won't happen.
So let's look at Ocampo. Well, let's look at Ocampo. Okay. Then let's look at
Yeah, you broke up, man. Go ahead, buddy.
What I'm saying to you is this: both of them need better competition to be able to then try to make that assessment, or they just need to fight each other.
I don't know. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Buddy, what you in?
Spence fought Garcia, right? Like we all agreed is a 135-pounder, correct?
We all agreed that we thought
I'm not going to agree to that.
Okay,
I'm not going to agree to that.
So
he beat your guy at 40.
Okay. Okay, you're right. You're right. I agree with you 150%. Who else has he beat?
At 40?
No. Who else has
I mean, we can say.
Oh my God! Hold on. Let me show my ass. Then hold on. You asking me who else he beat? Well, for starters, he beat the guy that beat Lomachenko. For starters, he beat Orlando Salido way better than Gamboa. Gamboa got dropped, and that's another biggest name on Crawford's resume. Mikey beat him almost a decade ago, in better fashion. You need more names because he beat a lot of guys.
I mean, the Salido fight got stopped.
you know what? I'm gonna take it like this. You don't like Crawford.
No.
Exactly. I was about to say the same thing.
I need him to prove himself.
We do this.
They are fighting who's available for them.
He don't like Crawford at all.
No. I need them to prove themselves. I was this way with Gennady Golovkin.
I understand what you're saying, Ness, but to Buddy's point, when these guys get in the ring, Spence, Crawford, Porter, Thurman, Crawford just shows something different in the ring. He shows that he's thinking about something. He showed that he's computing. He showed that he's trying to break down his opponent.
Listen, man, that's all cute, man. That's all cute. All but if we had the opportunity to choose to be certain,
somebody's a fanboy over here.
No. If we had the opportunity to choose to be certain opponents of both of these guys, and that be my career, well, I would say I would rather be Mikey. I would rather be Lamont. You know, I would rather be some of those guys. I don't want to be Kahn. Like, I don't want to be Gamboa. Like, tell me the truth. Like, I want to be David Benavidez? That's not who I want to be. And, buddy, that's not who you want to be.
So Jose Benavidez lost to Crawford, right? I will tell you, yes, a small Felix Diaz lost to Crawford, who's really a 140-pounder. You know, then you have, of course, Jeff Horn. You have Indongo. Who am I missing?
Sounds like
who?
He fought everybody. Indongo, Jeff Horn. He went to all
coming off a victory this weekend.
Bruh, I'm telling
you.
I
like Spence. I like Spence. Listen, Spence was born in my hometown. Then he moved out when he was a kid. And his parents are from Brentwood, New York, where I grew up at. I mean,
the green and gold.
Right, I like Spence. Don't get me wrong. I just feel right now at this point, this stage, that Crawford's the better fighter.
How though, Sway? How he struggled a little bit with David. I mean, Jose Benavidez. I mean, Earl systematically broke Mikey down, who was supposed to be his best opponent.
135-pounder.
And what was Kahn?
Listen,
what was Kahn?
A welterweight.
Mike.
Yeah.
And Mikey Garcia had no chance to win that fight. No chance whatsoever.
Neither did Kahn.
He had a better chance of hitting the move to be good.
Neither did Kahn, buddy.
Kahn didn't either. You're right.
Hence why Kahn was a huge underdog. Did you look at the odds before that fight?
Yeah, Kahn was like 2,700 by decision. I mean, by knockout, and like 17 by decision.
The biggest and best point that I
not Mikey Garcia though. Mikey was at least like a plus 280, something like that, and I know it was because a lot of money came in on him.
Right.
The biggest point that I try to bring up in this, sometimes he listens, sometimes he doesn't. Jeff Horn had a competitive fight with Manny Pacquiao. If you think he won, if you think he lost, he had a competitive fight with Manny Pacquiao. When he stepped in the ring with Terrence Crawford, it was not competitive one bit.
All right, now let me say something before we go. So yes, you're right, okay? But it's also that particular fight I was there, the one in Brisbane. Manny didn't fight. So, like, Manny, for the first half of the fight, Manny didn't fight, and it was an ugly fight. It was like a rough, ugly, weird, strange fight. And yeah, Crawford just beat up and broke down Jeff Horn, but maybe that fight against Pacquiao wasn't really. If the Pacquiao that was focused and came in against Matisse and Broner would have fought Horn, I think it would have been a different story.
The Matisse fight has got a little asterisk by him. I didn't think Matisse got hit that hard when he went down. Be honest with you.
So,
well,
buddy,
I mean, I was there too.
Buddy,
And I think he had
I don't want to
trouble
let
making
you
weight.
off the hook, man. Who's the biggest name on Crawford's resume?
You know, I can't. You're right. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. It doesn't have, I think Crawford is the type of fighter that when he's fighting a bigger name, he rises to the occasion. If he's fighting a guy that's fat, one of those guys that the better the guy, the better the performance.
You broke up a little bit there, but I'll say this. Didn't both guys go into their perceived super fights and we expected knockouts and they didn't give it to us?
I mean, Crawford's performance against Kahn was a lot more dominant in a different way than Spence. I mean, Spence controlled Garcia the whole fight. There's no argument to that. But look, I think we're all agreeing here that we like Errol Spence Jr., right? We can all agree on that. But we also agree we like Terrence Crawford and think that Terrence Crawford is possibly the better fighter. We're not going to know until they fight. We could compare their records and who they fought and level of opposition and how they won. But until they fight each other, and I hate to say styles make fights and everything that we've always heard before, but until they fight each other, we can make this argument all day long. I mean, that's going to be the real super fight.
See, for me, I treated Gennady Golovkin the same way, right?
Whoa. He just said something. Super fight. So why doesn't that make it 50-50 if we know that those two guys are going to produce a super fight? Just because one guy's had 3 belts. Wilder's saying, I don't care you got 3 belts. I'll bring something to the table that'll make you undisputed. The same thing goes for Terrence Crawford, right?
No. Crawford just failed on guys. 2 pay-per-views back-to-back is the rumor. The rumor is this pay-per-view did 150. His first one did 50. You already got 50. That was in the Victor Postal pay-per-view.
Listen, we're impartial media guys here, right? Right now on this call, we're impartial media guys. Take away Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence does 150,000 pay-per-views.
Oh, I don't think so.
Let's be real. Come on, guys. We got to be real. We got to be real. Mikey Garcia brought numbers.
He probably
listen. You brought this guy on. That's exactly what I said.
He probably did. Listen, he probably did.
And it's okay. Look, it's okay. This is the business side of it. It's okay, right? It's okay. Look, that was smart business. It was smart business for all of them. They all made money. We wanted to see what Garcia could do. There was no shame in him losing to Errol Spence Jr. He was well prepared, but Spence was just too big, too long, and too strong. I mean, that's all there was to it.
The great thing about your statement is this, buddy, do you agree that Earl will receive some residual effect from fighting Mikey? No? Yes? Are you there? Uh-oh, did we lose him? Oh, my God. That California connection ain't no good, but we do thank you for being up this early in the morning. Look, buddy, I don't know. It seems like it's a bad connection. I know it's early over there. If you want to go back to bed, it's all good, and we can do it another time. Are you there? Yeah, all right, we'll get back with him. But, so, yeah, man, I know I don't sound impartial. Look, the facts are the facts. Only one guy is being properly promoted. Like, regardless of who you think brought the tickets and the pay-per-view sales.
Wait a second. Who do you think's being properly promoted?
I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the business plans, right? I mean, look, I'm going to give you this. Crawford could have had Mikey on his resume, but he didn't because Bob let that slip through his fingers. He could have had Mikey on his resume. He could have had a lot of fights on his resume.
That relationship was over, though, long before Crawford had risen to where he had risen. I mean, he was still making a name at 140 and unifying that entire division.
I wouldn't necessarily say that because once upon a time we wanted Crawford Mikey. That was the talk. You can definitely search that.
Before or after Mikey left Top Rank?
I think a little of both. Even in his inactivity, because Crawford would get the questions. They have history from the amateurs.
See, this is what's great about boxing right now. We're actually having a debate and conversation because there's so many great fighters out there. You know, that's how you know that the sport is in such a great place right now, because everybody we're talking about are elite level fighters.
Except only one welterweight is solidifying his A side. Because like you first came on and said, he will unify, and then he will get the winner of Pac-Man versus Thurman. How can Crawford raise his cachet simultaneously on the other side?
But this is why I said it's going to be 75-25.
Oh,
and
yeah, I agree.
Probably a little bit less than that, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is that's the leverage. The leverage is this. The leverage is that PBC is going to be able to boast that they've had the bigger, consistent shows because they're doing this elimination of their own. They're doing their own round-robin elimination, and they're going to get the numbers. And those numbers are going to be undeniable. Those fights are going to be memorable.
You are a smart guy. You know Bob Arum is not going to come to the table if they even speak the words.
Bob tried to get ahead of it, and I don't blame him. He tried to get ahead of it. He tried to say, let's make it now, because he knows the leverage is gone as Spence continues to fight, because Spence is only going to fight other A sides. Spence is fighting Porter. Good fight. Yes. He's either fighting Thurman or Pacquiao after that. Good fight. I mean, his name is going to grow. Who's Crawford fighting next?
Do you think Thurman will like take a fight with Spence right away after a fight with Pacquiao later this year?
They have no choice. What are they waiting for? Well, there's no choice. They have to. This has to get done. How much longer could they keep playing this dance in the welterweight division at PBC? This is it. I was
thinking more like Spence and Thurman March of next year. I think both guys are going to get a in between fight after they win against Pacquiao or against Porter.
I think you don't kill momentum. How do you take a step back and lower the bar?
I mean, who's Spence going to fight? With the Spence and Porter, they're kind of doing that because that fight won't be on pay-per-view.
So the wild card. So who's he going to fight? Broner?
No, I mean, if Spence probably be like a mandatory. Has he fought his mandatory yet?
Listen,
this year?
We all know that could be, that can all be postponed, step aside money. And by the way, who is the mandatory?
Have no idea.
So, first we got to go see who it is. If it's someone that PBC has, well, they can do some step aside, or they can have them fight one of the other champions. It's just like the junior middleweight division. All the champions are with PBC except for one.
In 1 year.
Thurman's been off for so long. He's just gotten back into the mix of things. And, he had his fight with Lopez. Now he's fighting Pacquiao. So he's definitely, he's going to stop. I just don't see, from a business standpoint, why would they take pauses in between to take a step back? I think that if they're going to go down this route, and this is what we're seeing, and ultimately it's to have that leverage and have all those belts unified in order to fight. That the sanctioning bodies give special exceptions for unification. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yes.
But yeah, so mandatories mean nothing if a unification trumps a mandatory. So if you tell any of the sanctioning bodies we're going to unify, they automatically will give it what's called a special exception for the mandatory. So I really believe that's the route they're going. But tell me, who does Crawford fight next?
Tholani Minge
was rumored.
Tholani Minge, the South African IBO champion, is the only guy that he could bring into existence since he's already fought an IBO South African champion in Undango.
I know, and I know his promoter. I mean, but he's not with Top Rank. So unless they make that deal, and how promotable is that?
But who is he promoted by? Because it's got to be like some small promoter that they could do a co-promotion with.
His promoter is Ayanda Matiti.
Yeah, there you go. Easily get a co-promotion with that guy.
Probably. I'm sure it's not going to be an issue.
Speaking of, let me ask you this question and change this totally into business, right? So I spoke with Cameron Duncan throughout my career, and obviously he was a manager now turned promoter. And the reason for that is he says, you take a guy so far in his career and then they dump you as a manager, but they can't go nowhere as a promoter. So have you thought about that? And has that happened to you? Have you built someone and watched them just disappear or go off, with someone else?
It happens to managers, and it happens to promoters, and it happens to trainers. We just saw this with Abel and Triple G. It happens to everybody. And Mikey Garcia sat out his contract to get away from Top Rank. We could name managers and fighters that have stayed together forever. we could name situations, and I'm not going to name situations with myself, but have I brought a fighter to a championship and then that fighter tries to not want to pay me or wants to? Of course, there's always someone in their ear. There's always, the grass is always greener. There's a lack of loyalty, but that's on the promotional end and on the management end and on the fighter end. I mean, look at it from a fighter's perspective. A fighter loses 2 fights, a manager stops talking to him, or a promoter puts him at the bottom of the list, and instead of bringing him back, the promoter releases him. I mean, I think you can say that it's equal on all sides. That's just my opinion.
Another option is Collazo. They signed him for a reason, right? And
of course, exactly.
And look, maybe you have more insight, or you can just give your basic opinion, but like, can we dispel this notion of Heyman and Bob not being able to do business? Because isn't that Collazo still a Heyman advised fighter? And Amir Khan, Heyman advised. Felix Diaz, Heyman advised. I mean, John Molina, Heyman advised. Eldelier Alvarez, Heyman advised. Oscar Rivas, rumored to be Heyman advised. Like, how is it that we're still saying, oh, Bob is calling Heyman a cancer? Like, are these just actions of a guy that really doesn't want to fight? Because you obviously do business without Heyman.
I'll do business with anybody, me personally, right? I'll work with all promoters, and I have fighters with all different promoters. But I'll say this, in the end of the day, it's a business. And at the end of the day, these guys are going to make deals if it's going to make them a lot of money. And there was something I wanted to say about that with regard to Top Rank and okay. So here's the big question, and this is where the leverage comes into play. And sometimes it's not so much the money, but answer this question. What network does Spence Crawford end up on?
Without Crawford gaining equal notoriety somehow on the Top Rank ESPN side, it's going to have to be on the network choosing of Earl Spence because he's the A side.
Bob not going to stand for it. He's going to push for it.
Guys, listen, here's the thing. It's just about commitments. So yes, that's the point I'm making. We can say that it's going to be on Showtime or Fox pay-per-view because of Errol Spence, right? It's going to be a Showtime pay-per-view or going to be on Fox because of Spence. Or we can say, it's going to be an ESPN pay-per-view because of Crawford. Both PBC has their commitment to Showtime and Fox, and Top Rank is 100% committed to ESPN. This is what makes it difficult, right? Where does that happen? Where does it go? Because part of Top Rank's selling point in their ESPN deal was, hey, look, we're bringing you Crawford, we're bringing you Lomachenko, we signed Fury, which, that could potentially be that makes them a player in the heavyweight division. So my question is, like, they're under a lot of pressure. All of them are under pressure to have those fights land on those networks. So that's one of the bigger obstacles. That is why the more leverage.
But is it really? Because doesn't that just make it better for the fight and the fighter? Because now the network, let's say ESPN, like you said, they're under pressure. They got to come with that offer. And now Showtime or Fox would be equally under pressure. As an advisor, Heyman has to show the offer and match it.
I think it's going to be joint so they can just split the pressure.
This is what I think. Do you guys remember Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko?
Yes.
Do you remember what happened there?
50-50?
No.
Not 50-50, but Showtime showed it first, and then HBO showed it at night.
Exactly.
Right. They got the delay. That could be the same type of situation here. That's the only thing that I can think.
And that's something that only will happen if Crawford can equally raise his cachet. There's no reason to do a co-broadcast if you're the B-side. It's got to be two A-sides.
You do realize, Crawford's an A side. You do realize that they both need each other.
How are you still saying he's the A side when you just said 70? Hold on a minute, Mike.
We all know.
I gotta make sure he hears his own words. He said,
I do. He's an A side. Crawford's definitely an A side.
Since when do A sides receive 25%, maybe less? Is your words?
Listen, in this particular case, someone's going to have leverage, okay? And if Spence is coming with 3 of those belts, that's a metric that we can use as leverage, and that's why they're. But listen, he will have earned it.
Yeah, it's more than 3 belts.
He'll have earned it.
Kahn, it's more than 3 belts. Come on. If things go the way we believe, the man is going to have 3 belts in the scalp of Manny Pacquiao.
How disrespected do you think Crawford would feel?
I am sending you the phone number for the Errol Spence fan club. You need to be the president.
Kahn, this is another way. This is another Bob Arum failure too, because Errol will probably have Pacquiao's name on his resume where Crawford could and Bob couldn't get him that fight. He couldn't get him the Mikey fight. He couldn't get him the freaking Pacquiao fight, and you think he's going to get him the Earl fight somehow? Come on.
It's going to happen only because it's going to be inevitable. It's going to have to happen. And we've seen this happen when Top Rank, when Arum wouldn't work with King, they made fights when it suited them. It's going to happen. Listen, it's going to happen. There's no point in this. Out of the 16 weight divisions, this is arguably the most stacked division in boxing and the most entertaining with the biggest names. A Crawford, and listen,
I don't know.
Not that I don't think it's going to happen.
I think the heavyweight division is equally as exciting and brings more cachet. Heavyweight brings out the casuals. I think and their paychecks are
lacking.
bigger.
It's lacking a little depth right now. I mean, you have 3 really big names. I mean, in my opinion, you have Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. I'm just saying that the welterweight division has so much depth that we've been entertained. I mean, we've been entertained.
I think the top 6 heavyweights. Mixed in match, we consider those fights more competitive than the top 6 welterweights.
Really? You don't think that Thurman and Spence and Crawford and Pacquiao and Porter and Garcia and Broner are not like some of the most competitive? I mean, all these guys are highly competitive. They're all champions.
Pacquiao, Danny, Porter. A lot of those guys are B-sides, man. A lot of those guys are B-sides in those matchups where we're going to pick certain guys. Like, all right, Thurman Pacquiao gets official. The public is already picking Thurman on the betting sites.
Absolutely.
And Earl gets official. They're already picking Earl over Spence. I mean, over Porter.
Absolutely.
So Danny Broner gets made, we will pick Danny.
Absolutely.
If Thurman Danny gets made, we're probably gonna pick Thurman again if he got through Pacquiao. So like we know the answers. It's like Buddy said, watching boxing now, we know who's gonna win. Like we knew Crawford was gonna beat Kahn, except we expected it to be a lot better.
A little more competitive, right? But that's on Amir Khan's. That's on. I don't think he wanted to be there. I think.
Oh wow! He said Amir wasn't competitive with all the shots he landed. He was just starting to warm up. According to Amir Khan's post fight, he was starting to warm up at the time of the stoppage.
But do you really? I'm being serious here. Do you really believe that?
No, of course not.
He had his groove going.
Of course not.
Listen. I just want to see great fights. That's why I love this sport. That's why I've remained wanting to be involved in this sport. I think that in its purest form, when we do put the best against the best, great things happen and they become like, classics. And the business part, though, makes it tough. I mean, look, not everything's the UFC, I mean, not everything's one company. I mean, that's...
my God, what is that? Let's talk heavyweight division.
But you understand what I'm saying, though. You understand what I'm saying, though.
All right.
I mean, yeah, if boxing was the UFC, then everybody would fight everybody.
I don't understand because I don't watch that sport, but I'm sure my co-host does.
Everything
Listen, Mike.
was under one umbrella, then it'd be easier. Maybe.
He
knows. He's being funny. I got
exactly.
it. I'm there with you.
Who's your Terrence Crawford in the heavyweight division? Because you're picking Crawford to beat everybody, right? That's what you said? You're going on record for that one?
No, what I'm saying is I think that Crawford's definitely as equal as anybody else. I mean, I honestly... I don't know who's going to win. I think that a lot of these guys, we always say, like style, I think it comes down to who can impose their style, who can impose their will, who can come out with the better game plan, who can adapt. It's one thing for us to break it down, but when that bell rings and that fight starts, things happen.
Yes.
And guys get caught. They don't want to get caught. They get caught. They get hurt. They underestimate a guy. Some guy rises to the occasion. I've seen it. I mean, I visited Kevin Cunningham maybe 3 weeks out of Pacquiao Broner, and I stayed outside because of me managing Cambosis and George being in camp. I didn't want there to be any weird vibes of me coming inside the gym during training, so I waited outside. I hung out, spoke with Broner's manager Ravone, Little John, and just chilling, and then training was over. Adrian walked out, and he looked great. I mean, he looked fight ready 3 weeks out. I mean, he was ripped, okay, and he just looked good, all that.
That didn't change your mind.
Well, no. What it did was it made me think like, well, maybe Broner took this camp more seriously than maybe some previous camps, meaning that his weight wasn't an issue. Weight wasn't an issue. But listen. So what I'm saying to you is this: then he gets to the fight and he doesn't do anything.
But that's his MO. He doesn't let his hands go.
I get it. But
his whole little clique doesn't let their hands go.
He was prepared, is what I'm saying.
Prepared not to let them hands go. Rashid Warren, Robert Easter, Adrian Broner, we don't let our hands go camp.
I mean, Davis was in camp with him. He lets his hands go.
Davis is a totally different monster.
I'm just saying, he was in camp when I was there. He was in camp with them. He let his hands go. Totally. I just listen. Broner used to let his hands go. After that Maidana fight, he stopped letting his hands go. That wasn't the case early on. And as he moves up in weight, he's also a different fighter. I'm not making a case for or against. All I was trying to say was that a 40-year-old Pacquiao who looked miserable against Jeff Horn, who didn't really come in and fight his fight, had then come back with a vengeance with the Matisse fight, and then really. Do you think the Broner fight was competitive?
No,
it wasn't. It wasn't competitive. Yeah, it was. I mean, Adrian thought he won, of course.
Yeah, I know. I beat that boy. I beat him.
Kahn, stop staying away. You're trying to stay away from this heavyweight division. Why?
No, listen, I've gone on record many times. I think Deontay Wilder's the best heavyweight in the division, even though I live blogged and had Tyson Fury beating him. Okay, I think that in a rematch, I think Wilder knocks him out. Listen, I predicted Wilder. Look, the great thing about me writing for Forbes is that I can't take stuff back. Okay? I can't come on here and have some revisionist history or make stuff up. I put it out there. So you can go back and you can go look at my betting piece. And I think I picked Wilder to knock out Fury in the 11th or 12th round. And let me tell you something. I almost had it. Okay? But at the same time, I'd rather be right than just have my own thing come true. Meaning that when I live blogged the fight, I scored it how I saw it. And I saw Tyson Fury winning the fight. But I do think in a rematch, I think that Deontay catches him. I think Deontay catches Anthony Joshua.
So speaking of Joshua, let's get to him first, since he doesn't have an opponent and the big, PED scandal with Big Baby Miller. Who do you think is going to be in the, going to be the front runner? Obviously, it sounds like
it was Michael Hunter, but I guess I'm wrong. I thought it was Hunter.
No, why? Why do you don't speak that into existence? Really?
I thought listen, because he signed with Matchroom just a month ago, and I thought that was going to be what was going to happen on the short notice. I heard Trevor Bryan being mentioned.
I know.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you what I hear. Ortiz, turned it down, but I don't know if he turned it down or if he just has
poor
that
management.
Rematch with. You know what? Remember, he's with Heyman, so I mean, we really can't say he's got poor management.
We interviewed his manager, and he's blaming it on the Caribe Promotions promoter not accepting the offer, telling them it was a different offer.
Hold on. You're saying you had Jay on the phone?
Yeah, Jay Jimenez, yeah.
Okay, well, the promoter's his cousin.
From Caribe Promotions?
Yeah.
I mean, not Caribe. What is it called? Dade County Promotions?
Sure, that's his cousin.
Well, there you go. Well, he's allegedly mad at his cousin. He was involved. He turned over, Eddie's number and said he didn't want to be in the middle. But he's blaming his cousin. He's saying he told us it was one thing, and now we're hearing it was something else. I mean, we would have took the $5 million.
But I thought they were with Heyman.
That's what I said.
Ortiz is with PBC.
Listen,
right?
Peter, if you listen to that interview, I keep asking him, what are you paying Heyman for? Call Heyman, try to salvage this.
Listen, I know, Jay, I know Jay, and I know that when they made that deal, it was a smart deal, and it got him Wilder. You know what I mean? It got him the Wilder fight. But why isn't Heyman in the
90 seconds?
Why isn't Heyman at the head of the negotiations? Why is Eddie or whoever dealing with Jay, then dealing with Dade County Promotions, and not directly with Al?
I don't know.
That's
a good
so
question.
strange.
I think that would be a heck of a fight if Ortiz had enough time to prepare and he was ready to go. I think that's an excellent fight to have.
You think at this point it's dead in the water because it's a southpaw and we only have 5 weeks left now?
I don't know. I don't know if Ortiz was already in preparation and training. I don't know if after the Brazil fight they're going to announce the rematch with Ortiz for Wilder. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they had planned. So if they had, for instance, if they were waiting for the Wilder fight and Brazil fight to take place and then they were going to announce Wilder Ortiz 2, maybe that was a reason why they just didn't anticipate this happening. I can't really, I don't know. I mean, if I was in that same situation, I think that it wouldn't be the money as much as it would be the preparation.
What did you make of his trainer saying? Did you already ask him about his trainer talking about his promoter?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
10 seconds.
We had his manager / trainer on. Jay.
Oh yeah. He said he actually let us know that the promoter is actually Jay Geminis's cousin.
What?
Yeah, I thought that was like a known. I thought that was like a known thing.
Nah, and you should hear the way he's like, the promoter. He does not say my cousin,
But nonetheless, it's a business relationship, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they're cousins and related. But listen, nonetheless, it's still a business decision. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said earlier, I mean, regardless of this, I mean, Jay has done a good job with Ortiz. I mean, they got him the heavyweight title challenge with Wilder. It was an excellent fight. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and he's going to get another shot. I think that for the most part, I think that preparation might be the key to this whole thing. I mean, if you're going to get that Anthony Joshua fight and you're a guy like Ortiz, wouldn't you want to have an 8 to 10 week camp instead of this 5 week short notice?
I mean, but if the rumor is true, 7 million, 5 million, 4 title
I don't know.
shots.
That's a lot of 7 million. I'd take it, but
All right, now we're speaking the same language. Listen, before we let you go, I want to just round up with, you're heavily invested in the lightweight division. Most of the guys you manage are in the lightweight division. Not interested in any other divisions. I know Van Heerden is obviously a welterweight, but I think that's the only other guy, right?
So I have 2 guys at super featherweight. One of them's listed as a lightweight only because he's fought at catch weights for the last 2 fights, which is Saul Rodriguez. That's Neno. He's a 130-pounder. Andy Vences is a 130-pounder. Then I have Emmanuel Tago.
Let me pause you right there.
Big up to Andy Vences,
Any phone calls from Bob or Bruce or someone at Top Rank to match Vences with Shakur?
Not yet. I mean, look, let me tell you something about Vences. He'll fight anybody, and that he wants fights. So he's fighting on June 8th. I probably shouldn't have said that, but he's fighting on June 8th in Reno on the Top Rank show, and he's ready. I mean, he's ready. He's ready to fight anybody. He's a boxer. He's a boxer, and that's meaning that, he's going out there to use his skills, stamina, his brains to win fights, and he hasn't lost yet. He had that one draw with De Leon that you could, I don't think it was a draw. I think he won that fight, but
were you with him for that fight?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
But I watched the fight. I mean, I watched the fight, and me and Andy connected recently. His original manager.
Well, the reason I asked is because I think since that fight, he's kind of been. They pumped the brakes on him. Like if you look at Shakur and him, Shakur's on the fast track, but obviously Shakur's an Olympian. But
Shakur's a great fighter, and I think that with Andy, he got injured. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
he injured a bicep. So. Yes. And he just fought in February in Fresno, and so he's fighting again in June, and he's ready to go. He's ready to keep moving along. I have 2 guys at lightweight. I have Emmanuel Tago, who is from Ghana, and I was just with him in Ghana when he fought in February as well. He is the number 2 rated lightweight in the BO. He hopefully will be number 1 next month. He's a good fighter. Let me tell you something. I think the only fight he lost was his pro debut when he was 16. He can fight.
Wait. You glossed over that. You said in the BO. Which one? The IBO?
WBO.
Okay.
One thing
He's number
about
two.
Andy,
Yeah, he's number
he
two.
has good movement and good ring generalship.
He's slippery, man. He's slippery.
Yeah, I just would like to see him set down on his punches a little bit more.
Agreed. I agree with you on that. But he's definitely somebody that frustrates other fighters. He's slick.
Definitely.
He's slick. He knows how to hit and not get hit. And if he could add a little bit more pop, obviously that would be something we would want. I have George Kambosos Jr. at lightweight, Van Heerden at welterweight. Now, of course,
what's next for Van Heerden?
Well, hopefully we fight in July. Whatever top rank show they put him on in July. And then I have Tago and Kambosos I have with DeBella, Van Heerden, Vences, Rodriguez, and the fighter I just signed who will make his pro debut in September, Xander Zayas. He's with Top Rank as well. Amir Imam, like I said, right now he's kind of on pause until this legal situation gets squared away. And I always feel like I'm leaving somebody out.
Bro, let's talk about that. How, and this is what I'm saying, like, how does Don King get away with not showing you what Bob Arum is offering you to fight? This man was offered $300,000
and only seen 29,000.
Less than 10%. How is that even possible in this day and age? And why are people still signing to Don anyway?
First of all, I can't answer all these questions, okay? Because it's like an ongoing lawsuit. However, what I can tell you is that Amir was with DKP from the beginning, so I don't know. Look, he signed. I mean, he did what he did. He signed with Don. Don built him, got him his world title shot. Even the Granados fight before that, that was a good fight for him. But look, things happen. I think that the legal process will play out. And then hopefully Amir can resume his career because he's only 28 years old.
Last one. How off or far are we from Vences getting a title shot? Because that division,
it's up to Top Rank, and let's see what happens with Herring and Ito at the end of May in Kissimmee, Florida, because that's a possibility, right? Vences is in the top 15, I think number 11 or 12 in the WBC. And who do you think wins that fight, Herring or Ito?
Man, listen, Herring has looked very good under the tutelage of Brian McIntyre. If he wasn't training with McIntyre, I would have said Ito because Ito's hitting hard. He dropped Christopher Diaz, which even Shakur couldn't, and he's tall. He's just a big guy. Great trainer, right? I think it's Rudy Perez that trains him. I'm probably leaning Ito, but I'm not writing off Herring shocking me because under McIntyre, he's gotten knockdowns. He's tightened up. He's done better than what he was when he was with Stafford. It's just the truth.
Yeah, it's a good fight. So you're asking me about Vences. I mean, the winner of that fight, I mean, we would welcome a fight like that. I mean, Vences is at the point now where there aren't too many other fights that they need to test him with. You know what I mean? So I think he's ready to take that step up and ready to have a world title challenge. I think that after this next fight in June, I mean, we would push for anything, an eliminator, anything that would guarantee him any type of gatekeeper. I mean, he wants to fight anybody that's available. So, I mean, just the truth is we wanted to fight Jason Sosa, and that for whatever reason that just isn't happening for June. So we have somebody else, but we wanted somebody like that.
Somebody else, Peter. Come on.
Albert Bell.
Okay. So, Peter, man, I don't want to take any more of your time simply because we can't. We have some other things to do and a bunch of callers. We're going to have to switch the drive-by mode on. But I want to thank you, obviously, for participating with us here and talking a little boxing. This was very good. I want to have you back for our betting show, man. I want to see what knowledge, anything you can teach us. We're complete
anytime
novice, but we are regularly doing a Friday betting show, which is, it's getting good, and we definitely can use some tips. We really don't know much. We're learning as we go. We do it as a collective with our listeners. But yeah, man, any of your expertise would be great. But if you can, please give out any social media, any way you want the listeners or fans to contact you or follow you. And once again, I just want to thank you for taking out the time to come on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll be able to connect in Vegas this week. I'll be at the MGM, so hopefully, are you guys going to be in the media center at all? Are you credentialed for there?
Yes, we're actually going to be at Podcast Row. We'll be doing a Thursday and a Friday show, and we'll get confirmation on the Fight Night show.
So this is what we'll do. I'm going to do my Ultimate Bettor's Guide for Canelo Jacobs, and then what we can do on Friday is we can actually talk about it. We can, it'll already be published on Thursday, and then we can talk about my picks and why I chose those picks, etc. And the odds and all that.
Oh my God. I hope you got some good information for anyone picking Jacobs, because we got a friend that calls in regularly. I mean, he's been calling maybe 4 years now. He's definitely an alumni caller. Put 1,000 on Jacobs.
Well, listen, sometimes the straight bet's not the way to go, because the odds, look, it's all about line value. This is what I always tell people. Forget about the names, right? It's about line value. So if you're betting with your heart, you're going to lose. If you're betting to make money, that's really all that matters. So if you want to find some prop bets that are Daniel Jacobs geared prop bets, I'm going to have a couple of those inside of the bettor's guide, because really it's all about line value. It's about probability of something happening and the value of placing that bet being in your favor. A lot of people just bet with their heart. They bet on the guy that they want to win regardless of the odds. So the only other thing I would tell you, social media, is you can follow me on Twitter, and it's at Peter Kahn, PeterKahn, not like Amir, but Kahn. So PeterKahn. And once again, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on, and we're definitely going to attempt to make it a regular thing in Vegas. We'll definitely link up, and hopefully we can get you on for that Friday show right in Vegas. Thank you again, Peter Kahn. There you have it. All right, we're going to get into drive-by mode, ladies and gentlemen, because we just have way too many callers, and me and Mike have that gym commitment at this time, so we'll do that now. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Drive-by! Remember to rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Going out to Troy in Baltimore. Talk to me.
All right, let me get this in quick. This was a good show, thanks to Buddy McGirt and the other brother who was on. But no offense to you, but just the mindset of you with the A side, B side nonsense is why I really just can't stand the sport sometimes. Because in all reality, we got all this great talent and no one's fighting. This is like the worst era for boxing ever. Sure, there's money, but there's no great fights for purists or fans like myself who just want to see fights. But keep doing your job, man. You're doing a good job. You really should study the history of the sport and learn a little bit more. But that's just not you, and that's why you got me calling in to help you out, because you need me. All right.
We need you, Troy. We need you. We're going out to Jose in Canada. Talk to me.
Popping all this champagne, popping all this rosé, getting money like Jose, chain cold. Drive by.
Jose, what's going on? Shit, my voice break.
Yo, guys, you guys hear me or what?
Yes.
Yo, I was gonna say I wasn't gonna call in or anything, but then I hear. Yo, I'm here, man. You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, man, hear you good.
Yo, okay, cool. Yo, I was just gonna say, man, boxing's at its peak for the last 2-3 years. We've seen nothing but super fight after super fight, man. I don't know what Troy's talking about.
He's a bitter boxing fan.
You know what? Yo, right now, boxing is at its absolute fucking peak, man. And I think every fight is amazing. Look what we're gonna have this weekend. It's Canelo against Jacobs. That's like a super fight too, man. That's a dream matchup, man. Who would have thought that fight would have happened 3-4 years ago? Nobody, right? So
it's a good matchup.
So there you go, man. Boxing's in great spirits. Boxing's good. Boxing's great. you know what? Keep up the good work, man. I really like that Amir Khan's cousin, man. He sounded good. Probably got a weak chin, too. Bring him on Border Wars. That's all I got.
Hey, Jose, are you going to be in Vegas, man? Guess not.
I'm still thinking about it, man. I'm a little too overweight, man. I'm feeling a little embarrassed traveling like this. I might have to get 2 seats.
Bro,
you know so I don't know. I'm going to think about it. I'll let you guys know.
You're thinking about it on Monday, boy.
I know, right?
Shit,
Mastermind Joseph in Texas.
What's going on, Joseph? Big dog. I see your little comment in the pre-pro, 75-25.
Oh, yeah. Let me get my boomerang off right now. Look, I like the call because, look, even though I didn't like everything he had to say, that's an unbiased opinion. And, yeah, you just brought it up, Mike. 75-25.
He can do it. He going to run with it.
If you want to realistically make this fight, if you realistically want to make this fight, you have to understand that Crawford doesn't have the leverage anymore.
Man, you niggas got to keep that same energy, man. How y'all selective with y'all energy, bro?
At the level that Spence can fight. The difference between Crawford and Wilder,
man. Y'all behind Wilder 1,000%.
Mike, let the man get his call off.
Wilder can still fight Ortiz again. He can still fight Fury again. Who is Crawford going to fight on that side?
It don't matter about this. The super fight, though. Wilder Joshua was a super fight. You know that.
But
that's why you behind Wilder for that 50-50.
Let's be realistic.
Oh, my God, Mike, you just
I'm not behind the 50-50 for Wilder. I'm not behind the 50-50 for Wilder.
Oh, okay.
Realistically, if Bud wants to fight, whether however you feel about it, if he realistically wants to fight, he needs to take a reasonable offer, come back to the table, and if that happens and he comes with a reasonable offer, he can come get that ass whooped after Thurman gets that ass whooped, so you can see who the best champion at 147 is, and he fights out of DeSoto, Texas, baby. That's my call. Man down.
Joseph, thanks for calling in, brother. We're going out to Texas. Gonna stay in Texas.
JD, motherfucker.
There's a lot of things I like to move, so just try to get on my game. I don't know why they gonna call me, but I'm a 54 pounder. But I have a brother that's at 160.
JD, what's going on?
What's the damn deal, fellas? Yo, I am betting with my heart. So what? So what, Kahn? So what? We gonna win too. Fuck it. But no, I'm definitely I'm gonna look into
You gotta look into some prop bets now, man. You gotta look into prop bets to try and hedge your money.
JD, are you gonna be in Vegas?
I will. Nah, man. I'm in grind mode right now.
I thought you was Dane Jacobs.
Yo, he's in grind mode, man. He got to make up that $1,000 bet.
Yeah. Ooh. He already done.
Hey, now, but listen, Troy. The problem with fans like Troy just called in with the BS. The problem with that is you'll get a good fight. You'll get a good, nice super fight, and you'll glance over it and look at the fight that you're not getting. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to be satisfied with what you got. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Because we get good fights every year. So
nigga, we can get fights on every card.
You can't be looking at Spence Crawford.
It ain't gotta be the
no, fuck it. I want Spence Crawford. But that's all I got though, man. This is like sometimes you gotta roll with the punches. No punch.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
We get good fights on every card, man. It may not be like the name marquee guys, but we got a good fight Friday night. We fucking Doheny and Daniel Roman. I mean, I know that those aren't marquee big name guys, but it was a good fight. And I mean, we get good fights on every card, man. I mean, it's all about just building the sport up, man. We can't call in like Troy and be all negative. And a casual fan will hear his calling and think that boxing died 10 years ago.
It's that Troy doesn't really love us, you know. I chose to go to him first, and look, that's what he wanted Peter Kahn to hear, that he shouldn't come on this show as a guest. Yet Troy listens every single day. He's there,
calls in every day too.
He needs to just think about the power of his words. Let's go out to JNRC88 on Skype.
Probably got a whole different name.
Yeah. I mean, you text me saying you've been on the line for a minute. Can I get to you?
Is your name Roger, by the way? I mean, would that be your name? John? I know it's not RC988.
On Skype.
If you're on Skype and you've been waiting for a little second, speak now.
Mm-hmm.
Go on once. 2 times. Like Keith Thurman. Well, never mind. He 1 time now.
Yo.
Okay.
Yo.
Yes, brother. Yes.
Yeah. Been waiting on you. What's your name, bro?
Sorry, my thing was on mute. I didn't know how to get off of mute. First and foremost, good morning, fellas. Yeah.
Good morning. What's your name? What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm JR, also known as New Money.
New Money.
I just want. Yeah.
We got Asian money. We got new money. Okay.
But
where you from? Where you from,
I want to shout out your show. I think you're doing an incredible job. Congratulations on 100,000 subscribers. And Nesta, I've got a bone to pick with you. That's what I really phoned the show for, to speak to you. To be honest with you.
Oh shit.
What I do, bro?
So my bone was like about a month and a half ago. You was like, if Errol Spence is such a sure bet, why aren't people flinging on astronomical amounts of money? When Floyd was fighting, people used to take out loans. People used to take out borrow money. So my whole thing is, I do betting for a living. That's what I do. I bet on sports for a living, right?
Well, we need to have you on our show then.
So I couldn't phone in on that week because obviously I done a freefold. I don't know if you know about that in the States. So a freefold is like you put on like 3 different fighters. So my fighter was Errol Spence, and I done Terence Crawford. And at the end of the week, last week, I just won obviously my bet, which and Regis Prograis was the last fighter of the bet. So I've just sent you.
Yeah, I think I seen the image, but I didn't look at it. Let me look at it.
Yeah, blow it up, man.
No, you must have added it in the conversation. I got to go through the conversation. Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's in the conversation.
Okay, so you won, and what happened?
No, so I mean, you can look at the amount that I put on it. I really do believe in Spence, and I obviously do believe in the other fighters.
Oh, yeah, he bet 10,000.
And that's English, yo. That ain't American. So that's more. You're getting more pounds for the dollars.
Okay. How long you been betting like this?
1 to 4.
Yeah, 1 to 4. So that's like for every 400 you put on.
But you put pro guys what? Money line?
No, so I just done all straight wins.
Straight wins.
It doesn't matter how they win, just if they win. Obviously, when I saw that the Crawford
but how much did 10,000 get you?
4,000.
I got a 7,800 on top.
On the top.
So I mean, it's okay money. Obviously, it's not double, but 8,000. I think I can figure out a lot of things to do with 8,000.
Yeah, you can.
Nah, that was good though. Money line. See again. That's different though. Nobody was parlaying Mayweather, but I get you. This was intelligent to parlay all 3. And he did like we tried to do this last betting show and wait. You don't gotta make all your parlays that 1 week, man. Sometimes you can make a sexy parlay waiting it out, and that's what I tried to do. Fucking who ruined it this week? Somebody
Regis got a knockout.
Regis got the knockout, man. I didn't go money line.
You ain't go money line. You went by decision.
JR, man, definitely stay in touch. We do a betting show on Fridays on Patreon, man. We could use your expertise. I gotta go to some more calls. Checkmate Boxing, talk to me.
Yeah, what's up, fellas? Hey, yeah. So I want to say this. I'm kind of disappointed about people who are really trying to push for this Crawford and Spence fight right now, when it would mean so much more if they were fighting for undisputed. Allow this collision course to happen. It would be the second biggest fight to happen after Wilder AJ. So for people wanting it now, it's just, to me, it's anticlimactic. When it's everything on the line, the world will be watching. So I just want people to pump their brakes and stop hating on them. Just let that thing happen, man. They the two best at 147. Let that happen for all the marbles. Then a king will be crowned.
Keith one-time Thurman. Let's go out to Joaquin in Florida. Talk to me. Oh, shit, Joaquin, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, no, you could go. I thought that was Deej. Go ahead, Joaquin, talk to me.
You originally was calling in, man, because I seen the title. The title was, Thurman Pacquiao, and the other day I was listening and people was talking cash shit about Thurman. And, I'm calling from Florida, man, so I was really just calling up to make sure people put some respect on Thurman's name, man. But then when I called in, I seen y'all had Buddy McGirt on, and it was a great show. I actually grew up like a couple houses down from Buddy's brother, so I met Buddy when I was young. I'm good friends with his nephews and all that, and we're gonna be headed out to that fight in Kissimmee, Florida, because he's one of the fighters he trains is on that undercard. So I'm actually gonna be headed out there with Buddy's brother, Danny. So shout out to the whole McGirt family and then all of them. They're great people. I've known them my whole life, man. And the other guy that y'all had on Kahn is though I didn't know he's who signed that young kid, the young Puerto Rican. I'm Puerto Rican, man, so I'm always rocking with my people and always looking for that next Puerto Rican, that next big thing, man. And especially the one straight from the island like that, like the Verdejos and the Cotos and the Trinidads of our time. So it was just a dope show, man. I just wanted to call in. Like I said, I originally called in to give people some smoke.
So the 16-year-old is Puerto Rican?
Yeah, he's straight from Puerto Rico, man. Straight from the island. Yeah, he's Puerto Rican. Xander, I started following him once I seen he got signed to Top Rank. I never even heard of him, honestly, until recently. So, I'm excited to see what he can do and if he'll give us, like I said, give us that next Puerto Rican great, man, because I'm always looking for it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, dope show. Just make sure people put respect on Thurman's name out here. Fucking cherry pick. Don't care who he's fighting. That's the champ. Never lost his belt. Put some respect on his name out here, man. But yeah, good show, y'all.
Joaquin, thanks for calling in, man. Mike gonna hate, man. It's in his blood, man.
Nigga, when my name come up, respect it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Hey, yo, Skepta, on to them, boy. Oh, yeah, talk the boy, go suck out your mama bumbo. And give your father a body wash, too.
Deej.
Yo, Deej.
You on mute, Deej.
You talking all that shit on me, homie.
Deej.
Yo.
Yes.
You guys keep hitting it out of the park. Seriously, I'm in shock. So, yeah, that great callers. I mean, great features today. I mean, that journalist, he had me in bits when he told me the promoter was Image's cousin. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh
crazy.
my goodness. What's it called?
But he retracted it. He said, well, I think he is.
Yeah, he tried to just
he retracted
it. No, you got the scoop.
You got the scoop. Hey, Vince gonna tweet it out. Hey, man, y'all know him and him, right?
I'm not jumping on that shit.
No, I'm just saying, your little children will, like you said, like, no. What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah, nigga, this shit tweeted out already, bro. Y'all know.
No. But yeah, they smashed it. But one thing I have to say, it's kind of off topic. You guys were talking about Gerald Washington the other day as being a nice little trainer for Dubois.
Yes.
And that bugged me because I was thinking, hey, Big Baby, that fight.
Nah.
The guy's been clean.
Nah, Big Baby, we don't even want to talk about him till he gets his life straight.
He was saying about the Gerald Washington fight was Big Baby clean.
But that's what happens when you test positive. Your whole career becomes in question.
Your whole fucking
career. That's what I'm saying. We've got to give Gerald, Washington that back.
Nah, we can't give him back. We can't because you can't take punches back, Deej. Can't take punches back, and he took that damage. And if Dubois jumps on him now, or FA jumps on him now, they get a good scalp on their resume. He's gotten hurt in this heavyweight division. It's the heavyweights, bro. He taking punishment.
All right, okay. So, do we allow Washington to redeem himself like Hutto got to against Margarita?
That's the perfect way to redeem yourself. The dude's 10-0, bro. What more you want?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Meaning can Washington go back and beat up Big Baby?
No, he can't go beat up Big Baby because that's giving Big Baby a license. No, Big Baby's on punishment. Washington can redeem himself by fighting an up-and-coming prospect. That's how it's done in boxing.
Cut it.
You don't redeem yourself like. I mean, you could redeem yourself off a rematch, but this ain't the case for a rematch. Situation is situational, and right now, Big Baby's tested positive. They can't even ban him because his license was expired. So, like, we just gotta wait to see what happens and let it play out. We can't be making fantasy matches and putting out into the world that it's okay. Like, we gotta first allow them to see what took place. Tell us what their the outcome is gonna be. Oh shit, Robert Bonilla on Skype. I'm sorry. Talk to me.
What's going on, Robert?
Robert Bonilla on Skype. Going once. Twice. All right. I'm your host, Nestor Gibbs. Find me on Instagram and Twitter on NesGTO.
Follow me on IG at Gross1911 or on Twitter at Gross2312. I just want to take a time to thank Peter Kahn for coming on and Buddy McGirt also for coming on. Thank you guys for your time. Also, tomorrow, I think it's confirmed that we got Shelly Finkel, right? Tomorrow at 9:30.
Tomorrow at 9:30. Definitely confirmed. You want to ask Shelly a question, head on over to patreon.com/The Boxing Voice. Click on the post, ask Shelly Finkel a question, Patreon only. As a Patreon of The Boxing Voice, you get to ask one question and have that asked to Shelly and answered.
Also, when you sign up, you can check us out later on the day on Untitled. We'll be talking about the Avengers Endgame, and we'll be talking about a little bit about the amazing episode of Game of Thrones last night. And
Yes,
man,
sir.
you talking about a nigga celebrating, boy. I was there.
I can't even believe is where we at. Like, I didn't think that was going to be what it was.
Me either. I didn't think it was going to be what it was.
I was type mad that it was over because it's like, with that happening, I'm like, whoa, well then, like, I need more.
Nah, it ain't over, nigga.
I know it ain't over. I know. I mean, I stuck around for the preview of the next one.
Yeah.
But look, man, we out, man. We gotta go.
Oh, yeah,
Don't forget, we land in 2 days, Las Vegas. We're gonna be doing our show Thursday and Friday. We haven't gotten confirmation for Saturday, but once we do, you will know. Sign up to Patreon. We're going to be doing that Untitled show today at 7. We got another one, obviously, tomorrow, film study, which we'll be checking out one of Jacobs or Canelo fights, getting ready for this fight. We also got Shelly Finkel at 9:30 a.m. on our morning show. And I'm working on getting Devin Haney for H Money at 7 p.m. because that my Patreon asked me to get him a interview. So that's what we're going to do. I'm talking to his peoples, and they're trying to see could we get either Haney, I think, today at 7 or tomorrow at 7. I don't know. We're going to see could we do it. But, yeah.
Tomorrow at 7 moving, but I'll make it work. You know what I'm saying? I get all my shit done. Might have to get it done today. I'll talk to you at the show.
Well, 7:15, I think, is what I sell. 7, something like that. But yeah, man, peace.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, future, present, past. That always helps with the visibility of the show. Peace.
I'll be like, that's cheese.